I was looking what Dr. Blanton, Smiley Blanton, who is a colleague of Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, what he said about fear. He said, fear is the most subtle and destructive of all human diseases. Ladies and gentlemen, fear kills dreams. Fear kills hope. Fear put people in the hospital. Fear can age you. Fear, ladies and gentlemen, can hold you back from doing something that you know within yourself that you're capable of doing, but it will paralyze you. And it seemed like you're in a hypnotic spell. And I ask you a question, what is the benefit? What's the benefit of allowing fear to hold you back? What's the benefit of giving up on yourself, of not stepping out on life and taking life on? What is the benefit for you? What's the plus in that? It's one of the things I had to ask myself. So I didn't want to make any mistakes. I wanted everybody to like me. I wanted to be perfect the first time I did something. It's not going to happen. You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to hurt some folks' feelings. You're going to create some enemies whenever you decide that you want to begin to take life on. You've got to ask yourself, how long am I going to allow this to hold me back? Fear is false evidence appearing real. That is an illusion that we create in our mind. It is a state of mind that can be changed. Look at your life right now. Whatever you've done up to this point in time, your life is working. Whatever you have produced, it came out of you as a result of the kind of person that you have become. It's a result of your choices. It's a result of your consciousness. Now you have to ask yourself, are you satisfied with what you have produced? Is this what you want? Would you like for things to be better than this? Do you believe that you deserve better than this? Or are you content? This is that you don't have to do anything else. That you already resign yourself in life and say, well, I'm happy. I'm not starving like the people in Calcutta. Are you allowing yourself to get off the hook like that? Or do you believe somewhere in the back of your mind or in your heart that there's some other great work for you to do? There's something else that life has for you. I believe that you have to begin to consciously monitor your inner conversation and start talking to yourself. Start building yourself up. Sometimes the only good things you will hear about you are the things that you say to you.
The greats think differently. The greats see differently, right? The greats have a different worldview. The greats, they approach the game in a totally different way. So I need you to do me a huge favor. I need you to think about what you're thinking about when your effort is low. Because if you can get this, you can get any success you want in life. You can have anything you want in life if you can get this. The next time you give a low effort, right? You give it 70% or 50% or 30%. I want you to think about what you're thinking about when your effort is low. If your effort is low, you're probably not thinking about the opportunity. You're probably thinking about the obligation. And when you think about E.T., how you stay pumped up. E.T.'s how you stay on fire. E.T., how you always driven. Even in the midst of trials and tribulations. Even in the midst of your haters. When people try to break you and tear you down. E.T., how you stay strong. I keep thinking about the opportunity. Every single day, I'm thinking about the opportunity, and I'm not looking at this thing as an obligation. I'm not looking at this thing as something that I have to do, or that I'm forced to do, right? Something that somebody's making me do. Every time I wake up, I'm thinking, I'm alive, baby. This is the day. This is an opportunity. If you want what you've never had before, if you want to do what you've never done before, if you want to be what you've never been before, change your mentality. And I want you to see that effort goes up when you look at it as, I got an opportunity of a lifetime. But you should be excited about the fact that you have an opportunity.
Hello, this is Lou Hughes, your Chief Leaderologist in Houston, Texas, back again for the series, Removing the Bandage, and this month is all about removing fear. So I'm excited. I got the Fab 5 for overcoming fear. You're going to love it. And look, this is actually going to get you not only motivated, but give you some instructions on how you can really take a step-by-step approach to removing the fear. Take a look. Let's get into it. The Fab 5 for removing fear. Now look, we're about to get into that Fab 5 as I told you, but look, I want to present you with an acronym. You probably heard it before. Maybe you haven't heard this one. It's a little bit of a spin. But I want you to think about false expectations about reality. That's right, false expectations about reality. And I don't want it to be false because that's just really what fear is. I want you to move into a position of faith evidence about reality. I want to change that on you. Now let's get into the Fab 5. I'm talking about the Fab 5. Let's make this thing fun. I want you to have a chronological order of things that you can do to not only make yourself feel better, but really to move yourself beyond fear on everything. Not just about surviving, but it's about winning. Now the first thing you need to understand is, look, you got to address or acknowledge that really you have a fear. Most people, they live their life fearful because they can't even acknowledge the fact or admit to themselves that they have a fear about whatever it is they're going through. Some people have a fear that they can't leave. They think if they leave, then nobody will take them because really they're in the best situation they could ever be in their life. Doesn't that sound ridiculous? I mean, think about it. If you're in an abusive situation, if you're in a situation where you feel like you can't get out, isn't that the opposite? You should be fearful that you can't get out. You should have so much fear that, like, I got to get out of this situation because I may not live to see another day. Or maybe what's on the other side is so much greater, I can't afford not to get out of this situation. And if I can't do it for me, if I got kids, come on now, you got to at least do it for your kids. You should be fearful that they're going to see you grow up in this situation, this environment, and they're going to reproduce what you are sowing. Isn't that a sad day when we see generation after generation after generation living like their parents? Somebody's got to break the cycle. That somebody might as well be you. Why don't you get fearful about not changing? But first you got to acknowledge. You got to address that situation. Now the second thing is you got to get adamant about exposing yourself to the fear that you're in. Now I'm not talking about if you're in an abusive situation or if something's happened to you or if you've been even molested or if you've been in a situation where I'm not talking about getting in that environment. You understand? I'm not trying to be adamant about exposing that type of fear. I'm saying if you are already in a situation that really is almost unbearable, then you have to, after you acknowledge that, you have to say, you know what? It's not just about being afraid of heights and going to the top of the mountain. It's about understanding that in order for me to live better and to know that I deserve better, that means I got to be willing to go out and learn how to live better. I got to move beyond saying I'm going to be dependent on someone who really doesn't care about me at all. I got to be strong enough to go find out how to live without that person or without living in this environment. Or just because I gravitated to this situation because of my environment doesn't mean I can't respond and move and educate myself to a better environment. I got to expose myself. What would happen? What would happen if I moved away? What would happen if I lived in another city? What would happen if I went to school and I didn't drink every night? What would happen if I got new friends? Would I die? No, I would learn how to live beyond my level of understanding, and I would learn how to live based on my expectations on what I felt like I deserved. That's what would happen. Eventually, one day I would get it, but I would have to expose myself to a different environment. I may lose some friends. Am I scared about losing the friends? Or am I afraid of what new friends I may discover and I may not be in that comfortable place anymore? What are you really afraid of? I got to expose myself to where I want to be. And see, then the third thing is that you gotta be attentive to thinking positive. That's right. You gotta show some attention to thinking positive, not 1 minute, not 1 hour, but each and every day, day after day. Think positive about the change that you're going to be having. Now, see, number 4, you got to get active. I mean, really be proactive in being courageous. You got to make some courageous acts. Now, we talked about positive thinking, but at some point, you got to start taking some action. Am I right? Am I right about it? I know I can't hear you answering. If you're in the class with me, then obviously I'm going to be talking to you directly. But look, I got to have some actions. It's all right to think positive. I've got you halfway, but now you got to start taking some major actions based on the fact of your thinking. And this is really what I want you to do. You thinking positive, but you got to manage that stress. You got to start taking general rooted fear out of imagined physical emotions, which are threats, and you got to start taking some courageous actions. You got to build courageous character. You know, the muscle of courage must be continually strengthened. You know, Aristotle, the ancient philosopher who focused most on courage, said this, that we develop courage by performing courageous acts. Recent psychologists have concluded that if you suggest that courage is an ethical habit, and that if you take up on that habit and act upon it every day by showing bravery or doing something in that particular field of fear, then you can overcome it. According to Aristotle, practicing courage can make all the difference in your life. As he wrote, you will never do anything in this world without courage. Now, family, this is number 5, and it's one that I really want you to be passionate about. A lot of things revolve around faith. But to really understand faith, you got to achieve, which is number 5, you have to achieve a level of faith where once you're moving forward, you know it's already done. So you know if you're looking for a new apartment, if you know if you're looking for a new environment, eventually it's going to happen. You don't have to worry about it's going to happen. Eventually you're going to find another place to live. But I want to break this down to you and put it in perspective where I think you'll understand. Right now, you're either at this meeting, listening to it before the meeting, or you're listening to it after the meeting we have. And at the end of the day, you got to make a decision. You got to make a decision to not only have faith, but to walk by faith, which means that you got to start acting like it's already done. And what I want you to do to overcome the fear, if you think about those steps that we had, if you've addressed it and you've acknowledged it, and you had all the courage in the world, and you believe that you pushed through, and you have that level of faith that you know it's already done, then you got to start acting like it is done. And at the end of the day, that's where you've spoken your affirmations, and now you believe that now I can move forward. You got to start acting like things have changed. And when you act like things have changed and you start taking actions upon that change, putting yourself in a new environment, that's when it's going to click. Take a look at the rest of this video and think about how some of these survivors have actually made it. Now this is Lou Hughes, Chief Leaderologist in Houston, Texas. And I'm telling you, you don't want to miss the next meeting. This is just a snippet of the training. What I want you to do is take all the things that we taught you, take one of your biggest fears that you've had and start applying that principle that I taught you on how to overcome it. I promise you, in just that small amount of time, you're not only going to push through it, you're going to achieve results that you never thought you could achieve in your lifetime. Don't stay in fear. Use fear at all as a stimulant to motivate you. Not all fear is bad. Some fear is good if it makes you move in the right direction. Now I know you can do it. I trust you. I believe, and I want to say this prayer in Jesus' name. I pray that any fear that you have right now, you can overcome it in Jesus' name. You are the head and not the tail. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. You are in a position to succeed, and more importantly, you're in a position to change not only the results of your personal generation, but your kids, the next generation. Effort is between you and you. Failure is always an inside job. People are never your problem. Yes, faith without works is dead. I want you to overcome your fear. I want you to have extreme faith with that evidence, and that will be the appearance of your true reality. I'll see you next time. Take care.